Yeah?
Yep.
Okay, good. Hi, everybody. So Christian, Zenobia, and Claudio have very kindly offered to have a very quick chat with me about Davos, which of course is just next week. And I thought it'd be really good if we could, as a community, we could just see what they have planned so that we can get excited and start sharing the word before we even land in Davos. So thank you ever so much, the three of you, for sharing your very precious time to have a chat. Are you excited about next week?
Oh, yeah.
Very excited. Yes.
Indeed.
Gonna pack warm.
Yeah.
I think there's some
Yeah.
snow there this year.
So it's going to be slightly different from last year, isn't it? And I think Claudio's got some stuff that he can show us that will really give us a really good idea of what we can expect this year in Davos. And maybe Christian and Zenobia can explain why they've gone in this direction and kind of how it differs from last year.
Sounds good. Yes, so here we come, Davos 2024. For those that don't know the dates, it runs from the 15th to the 19th, and we will have a continuous presence in Davos during that week. If we go to the next slide, we can talk a little bit about our overarching theme. Last year, we went with a very sustainability-focused theme. And one of the things that we learned was that we have a bigger story to tell, and there are many themes that we want to cover. So Hedera is architected for and governed by enterprises, while you and we all know that technically Hedera is a hash graph, not a blockchain. But for the broader community, in order to gain people's attention, you need a very quick way to position yourself for the audience. You know, they're very busy in Davos, and so you want something short and pithy that really differentiates. So we've gone with the public blockchain for business.
Make perfect sense, yeah.
Yeah. Let's go to the next slide. And I talked about the continuous presence in Davos during the week. We have programming as well, and Zenobia is going to talk through the programming and some of the goals out of that program.
Thanks, Christian. So one of the things that we learned last year in Davos is that big names get big attention. There are a lot of high flyers there. There are a lot of C-level executives, and they really want to hear what their peers are doing. So our goal here was to create a little bit of FOMO and to create interesting conversations where those key executives who, quite frankly, have big budgets, are thinking about big global initiatives, are going to say, yep, this is something that is really compelling to me, and I've got to go because these speakers are so compelling and the topic is so interesting that I don't want to miss out. Our first event is the Tuesday night. And as you can see on here, it is all about tokenization. So we wanted to pull a broad range of folks who are doing interesting things in tokenization, everywhere from the very personal level. And you'll see on here Sandra Campos, who is the former CEO of Diane von Furstenberg, up to the huge space level, right? As high as you can go. So we have some former astronauts and others working in the aerospace industry who are talking about how this is being applied to things like global satellites and space travel and documenting the regions undiscovered as of yet. So that is our first event, and that is moderated by Hedera board member Scott Teal. On Wednesday, we are focused on CFOs, the folks who hold the purse strings and who are trying to think about not just how do I push around money, how do I make sure everything is in its right place, but how do I really become an agent for change? How do I leverage digital assets? How do I empower my organization to use distributed applications to bring trust to a financial system that, quite frankly, if you look at some of the trust barometers, is at an all-time low? This one will be hosted by Betsabe Botaitis, who is Hedera's CFO. And we have a great set of panelists here who have experience both in the traditional asset space, as you look at the CEO of Amina Bank and the chair of Deloitte, as well as those who are well entrenched in the digital asset space, like the CFO of Coinbase. So that is Wednesday.
Wow.
And then we wrap up Thursday with another fantastic panel. This is really leaving people on a high note to think about what is the future, right? What is innovation? What are some of the most important innovations of our time? And how are we going to govern them responsibly? When you think about AI, there's a lot of fear and uncertainty around AI. When you think about our monetary system, there's similar concerns. These folks are going to address how public ledgers and how holding that, people accountable to a public balance sheet can demonstrate the provenance of different kinds of things, the provenance of data, where decisions are being made, how they're being made. Again, this is being hosted by Hedera board member Monique Morrow. You all will recognize Dr. Lehman Baird, who actually also this week is also talking about AI and blockchain at CFC St. Moritz. You'll recognize longtime community member Jonathan Doughton, who comes out of the Shoah Foundation's Starling Lab from USC and Stanford and has now created Equity Lab, which is all around governance of AI, and a number of other esteemed panelists who will wrap us up for the week.
Wow. That's going to be an interesting, really interesting one, isn't it? Because AI is such a hot topic at the moment.
Indeed.
Yeah. And, the sort of the genie's out of the bottle kind of argument with us not fully understanding the tech. So that's going to be, wow, that's going to be, that's one definitely, I mean, they're all amazing, but for me personally, that's one I'd be seriously interested to listen to.
Yeah, I think we have a great set, depending on your area of focus, right, in your job. If you are an innovator, you really probably want to attend this. If you are a CTO, similarly, you may want to be coming to this one or to the one on Tuesday night. CFOs, I think they're certainly trying to figure out their role in this new digital asset landscape. And, as they have to deal with this becoming a bigger and bigger part of their company's innovation and innovative stance. And, we're seeing companies across the board. Tokenization is affecting everything from consumer companies who want to have a better relationship with their audiences, brands, as well as anyone who is dealing with a complex supply chain and needs some more accountability and transparency there.
And these are the kind of people that command the attention of decision makers in serious companies, don't they? So, these are the people that, even people of real power would look up to and admire and acknowledge as industry experts in their respective fields. So that's a really impressive lineup. Amazing.
Yeah, we're excited.
Fantastic. Okay, so and then outside of the lunches and the events, what's the setup looking like this year?
Yeah, so I think, Claudio, if you can go to the next slide, I think we're going to show some imagery here. What you're looking at is the Belvedere Hotel, the Grand Hotel Belvedere. This is the sort of premier hotel in Davos. It is across the street from the Congress Hall. We'll show you a map right here. So you can see this area of green. This is really where the WEF part of Davos happens. And WEF, the World Economic Forum, is a convention that convenes global leaders, policymakers, business leaders together. And you can see the Congress Center is the action where all of those meetings happen. And we are doing a takeover of the bar at the Hotel Belvedere, which is directly across the street and where a lot of these luminaries and business leaders are staying. And the goal is, last year, if you remember, we were down here in Hedera House, which was a beautiful establishment on the promenade, but you can see it's away from where the seat of the action is happening. So we decided this year, instead of trying to attract folks into Hedera House, let's go to where these people are already. And as you saw from Zenobia's presentation on the programming, we've tried to come up with topics that are appealing to these kind of industry leaders, and that they'll be educational. And of course, there are always ways to position Hedera, but you know, as Zenobia has talked about previously, it's a very soft sell. You can't go in there and, you know, beat them over the head with it. You've got to really educate first and earn that right.
Yes, it's about informing people rather than sort of advertising.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, no one loves getting overtly sold to, but with this audience especially, there's a high level of sensitivity to that. So lesson for you, Max, don't go up to some of these folks and be like, hey, let me sell you some of my, well, I mean, you've got so many services. You could sell.
I'll cancel the leaflet order. I was going to get a load of leaflets, but I'll cancel that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe we go to the next slide, Claudio, and I think you're going to show folks a little bit about what the look and the feel and where things are located in the Belvedere.
Just 1 second before we do, I want people to understand how prime this real estate is and how amazing it is that you guys have managed to secure this location. I mean, there's the CNBC house, and you can just see it there. So CNBC are kind of like the go-to correspondent for the WEF, and they do most of the massive interviews. And look where they're located. And there's Hedera, I would argue, in an even more prime spot. And Hedera House was rocking last year, and I know you were saying that you had to attract people to there, but I mean, it was still a huge success from what I could see, and I think the community would agree with that. You know, by every metric, the price of Hbar, the trending on Twitter, and all the other sort of metrics that matter. So if that happened there, I'm very, very excited with. I mean, you've raised the bar by a massive amount, and it's prime real estate. I certainly couldn't afford to stay in that hotel, so let alone have a thing there. So credit to you to manage to be able to secure, because I'm guessing they don't just rent that to anyone either. You've got to hit a certain there's a parameter, and they want to keep the quality of the event, but everything around the event of a certain standard. And it just goes to show that Hedera, you know, is at the table, so to speak, in terms of its legitimacy, its technology, and the way you conduct yourselves, and that speaks volumes with the location you've secured. So
yeah,
thank you very much.
Absolutely spot on, and you correctly called out CNBC there, but in the Hotel Belvedere we're going to have MWW, and we'll talk a little bit about that as well.
We will indeed.
You want to go to the next slide,
there? Yeah, I can take it from there, Max. So, just to echo what you were saying, we are basically the premier hotel. We're right across the street from the Congress Center, and to the right here, you can see some of the other hotels. Those are like secondary and tertiary premier hotels. Let's just say where other dignitaries are going to be staying. But we've got the cream of the crop. This is really what it's going to be looking like, because there's going to be so much snow there. But this is literally where you have to go through the security to get into the Congress Center. So I'm just going to do a quick little walkthrough of the outside of the building, just to give you a sense of what our signage is going to look like, and what, you know, I fancy ourselves as the most premier brand out there in the space, and this is a premier hotel, and I just want to make sure that we are looking just as classy and as trustworthy and honest as possible in our design. And so we're going to have some great banners and graphics on the outside of the building. When you walk up to the entrance, we're going to have some LED screens and signage throughout the whole lobby area. There's only so much I can show you in this brief Zoom call, but there is going to be a lot of graphics here. So no matter who you are and what hallway you go down, you can't miss Hedera. So speaking of hallways and all that, this is just a quick map of the location. What you're seeing there in the red circle is the main entrance in. And as you can see to the right, we've basically taken over a whole area there. And that whole area is the BAR, the bar. And we are actually calling it the Hbar, which is just great. There's also
Right.
hallways off to the left and the right here where you're going to see meeting areas where we're going to be having other private meetings and what have you, along with other very, very, very large enterprises and companies who are going to be there. So real quick, when you're in the lobby and you come through that front entrance, you have to go through this media room that we have, which we are designating as the Mac zone, which Max will talk about in a second. And that is the only way to the bar. So in order to get to the bar, you have to go through the Mac zone. And I can just imagine who he's gonna be stopping and chatting with there. So some great content's gonna come from our friend Max. Here's a little sampling of some interior graphics. Obviously, we're gonna put our governing council front and center, and we're gonna be celebrating them on pretty much every single sign that we have. And then, as Christian said earlier, the blockchain for business is our theme for the event. And we're going to have Hello Future in its pride and glory everywhere. And then here's some of the graphics that are going to be inside of the bar, and all consistent with everything else. So yeah, just keeping it really classy in a very, very classy hotel with everything from CEOs of major banks and enterprises to the biggest dignitaries in the world, all coming in to come into the hotel and witness the Hedera experience. So that's what I've got so far.
That's amazing. And I think from memory, that road past the hotel there, that's the main road into Davos, isn't it? Where you're going to have those banners.
It absolutely is. Most people, I'm not sure if you can see my cursor here, but most people have to come in from this upper road here, from the train station and all those other places through here. And then they come through here, and right where the entrance is to the hotel is where the secure zone is. In order to get through here, to get into the promenade and all the other activities that are happening down here, you have to go through that secure zone right there. And so
I remember queuing on that road, and the traffic's moving really slow, and you're just looking around and taking it all in, and you're going to have those huge banners right where everybody's got to see those banners in order to get in. That's
right, Max. And if you remember, a lot of the press and media set up right outside here too. So hopefully we're in the background shots of a lot of those interviews happening worldwide.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's exciting.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, right? Watch for us popping up and doing this.
Photo bombing. Excuse me.
Max, you and I are going to be doing quite a bit of journeying through all of Davos, just to try to get as much footage as we can for the community, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to be doing what I enjoy doing most, which is feeding back to everybody and letting them know what's going on the ground. And I'm so grateful for you guys just to have that area for me. And people have obviously got to have an interview, short, quick chat in order to get to the bar. So that's fantastic. What an incentive.
Talk about your Max zone a little bit here.
Yeah, absolutely. So who can I hopefully expect to interview? Because I know there are some GC members going. Is that right? And perhaps some that weren't there last year. Can we touch on that a little bit? Who can we expect to see?
Yeah, we do have a number. So I mentioned the two who are both going to be hosting the panels. Monique Morrow, who is our independent board member, has a strong telco background and was a fellow at Cisco, and Scott Teal, who is hosting the tokenization panel. In addition, we've heard from other council members who are participating either with their sort of contingent for their company, or they are just coming standalone to support us. So I believe we have Sham from IBM, Pradeep from Avery Dennison, Shuchi Rana from ServiceNow, and Duncan Moore from Aberdeen. And then we also have some other folks who are trying to figure out their plans. And so stay tuned. We may have a few special guests coming as well.
And is Charles coming? Charles Adkins? Is he?
Charles will be there. So yes, you should definitely plan to interview him while you're there.
I'd love to do that because obviously he's just starting. That's somebody, obviously the community are very interested in, shall we say. So that'd be a really cool chat at the bar. And there's some, Christian, you were saying earlier that there is some more community members coming this year, which I think is fantastic. Do you know who? Have you got anyone confirmed yet? Do you know who for sure?
So in addition to yourself, we know that Solo Cisse from Galaxy.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of your viewers will know him well. He'll be in Davos. And he's great at networking. He's going to be showing Galaxy off and talking about Hedera to everyone. Sammy Mian, who heads up Blade Wallet, he may be familiar to to folks as well. And then yourself and Zenobia, anyone I'm missing that?
Yeah, so Red Swan will also
Oh,
be
yes,
here,
yes.
and
Ed,
Lehman
yeah,
is going to do a panel with
perfect.
Ed one of the days
Oh,
at
that's
a
cool.
different place as well. Yeah,
They're the property guys, right? They're the Red
they
Swan.
are indeed. Yeah, so
Oh, wow.
key
I need to have a
interest for
chat with them.
you. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much. That's going to be amazing. And I have heard murmurs that there's a couple of others that may or may not be coming. So I don't want to say yet because in case they don't come, but there may be a couple of others as well, which I'm pretty excited about. So all in all, it sounds like we've got the makings of an absolutely fantastic event, doesn't it?
It's going to be awesome. Yeah.
It really is. Yeah.
Yeah, we're
and just very
excited.
quickly,
And I'll just say, on behalf of us here, we're really appreciative that you will be making the journey again and representing for the community and reporting live and really trying to bring that experience that is unique. Davos is different, trying to really bring that experience to folks remotely who are online. And, that's the call to action for everyone watching, right? Interact with Max's content, interact with Hedera content that we're putting out there, amplify it online. We did really well as a community last year on social, really amplifying and becoming one of the trending hashtags. This year it's Davos 24. But you can really help. And I know Max is going to be really pushing that when he's there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And thank you, Christian. I couldn't agree more. Yeah, it's exactly that. Davos is a very unique and very special place and a very important place, but the majority of the world isn't there. So the only way they're going to hear about this and get the exposure and get the knowledge and maybe discover Hedera for the first time is if that people amplify that and help me get the word out there and share that. Yeah, so absolutely. So thank you so much for all your support and to the community and just come on the journey with me and we'll have some great fun, I'm sure.
Looking forward
I
to
think
it.
that's about it, guys. Yeah,
Thank
absolutely.
you, everybody.
Thanks so much.
Okay,
Matt.
I know you guys got to
Tuning
shoot,
in.
so let's call it a wrap. But I can't wait to see you next week.
Thanks,
Yeah, that was
everyone.
awesome.
Likewise.
Thank you so much.
Likewise.
Bye.
Take
Safe
care, guys.
travels.
Take care.
Bye bye.